Good evening. In today's session, we are going to cover about this cylindrical fiber. Uh, no doubt this is a separate concept given to you, but however, what do you mean by cylindrical fiber? It is nothing but your circular waveguide. That is nothing but your optical fiber itself. So under the separate heading, cylindrical fiber, as it is in the form of a cylindrical shape. So this title has been given. Under this title, in your concept, you are going to deal with the mode. Okay. Again, in general, we have already studied what are the different modes in a planar waveguide. Okay. I just wanted to show you one slide showing the difference between a planar waveguide and the cylindrical waveguide. I'll just stop the share for a while and then I will share that slide. Okay. About the cylindrical fiber, we are going to study about the modes in that. Okay, a theoretical concept. Okay, what are the different types of mode we are going to see here in the cylindrical fiber? About that we will see, and then about what is the order, what is mode, some basic things. Okay, we will be looking into it, and then the classification of these cylindrical fibers we are going to see. Coming to the cylindrical fiber, as the name suggests, it is a cylindrical fiber, cylinder in shape. So two concentric cylinders will be one inside the other. Inner one will be having the lower, that is for in our optical fiber, it will be your core, and the outer one, it is your cladding. So concentric cylinders will be one inside the other. As they are cylinders, here whenever we go for the solution of any electromagnetic wave, obviously the fundamental equations which we use are Maxwell's equations. Okay, and you know it, Maxwell's equations, we have fundamentally we have seen four Maxwell's equations. If you just recall and go back to your electromagnetic theory, out of those Maxwell's equations, and these can be represented in all the three coordinate systems, rectangular, spherical and cylindrical. As we are talking about cylindrical fibers, so cylindrical coordinate system is being used. But however, when we keep on for solving the Maxwell's equation, actually Maxwell's equation will be in the form of your del square. Okay, del square, either E or H depending upon the field considered. It is one of the equation which I am writing. If you remember, the very long back, try to recall dou square by dou t square of E. So this is for E. Similarly, you can even go for H also. So this is one Maxwell's equation. If I want to write this in the form of cylindrical coordinate system, using cylindrical coordinate system, and if I want to solve this, so exact solution of such Maxwell's equation for this cylindrical waveguide, it is a bit complicated. Okay, you need to consider more parameters here. It is a bit complicated and it will give you more complex results. So rather than going for that solution of Maxwell's equation in order to analyze this cylindrical waveguide, what we can do here is, we know this, we know about planar waveguide. We have already studied this. In planar waveguide, we know that TE and TM modes are obtained. We know about this. I can just show you the slides very quickly. Yes, here itself, you can see here TE1, TE2, TE3, different modes depending upon the number of crossings, 0 crossings, 1, 2, 3, and basically the fundamental mode, this one with M is equal to 0. So TE mode. Similarly, TM mode also. So in case of planar waveguide, we will come across all the three, TE, TM and TEM. Okay, TE, where Ez, the field along z axis is 0, and TM, the field along z axis is 0. These modes are obtained, okay, within the cylinder, within the waveguide. However, the cylindrical waveguide, that is which we are considering now, one inside the other, two cylinders, one inside the other, core and the cladding, it is bounded in 2 dimension. Because of that, in planar waveguide, if you remember, the starting, the difference between non-planar and planar, I had told you, non-planar, 2 dimensional, 2 variables will be there. If you consider rectangular, x and y, However, in case of planar waveguide, only one variable. That's why when we go for modes, we have written something like this, TE1. So this is only in one dimension. But here, in case of cylindrical waveguide, the waveguide is bounded in two dimension, that's rather than one, because of which we will not consider one variable, we will consider two variables. Say, if I want to write like this, I will take say 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1. So two numbers we will use instead of using a single one. Okay. So we will use two integers rather than one, that is L and M. Yeah, so it is necessary for cylindrical waveguide to have two integers in order to indicate the mode. That is the difference. In planar waveguide, we have used single because it is single dimension, one dimension. Only one variable is sufficient to indicate the mode. But however, in case of cylindrical waveguide, we require two integers L and M to specify the modes. For a TE, it is TE subscript LM, and for a TM, it is TM subscript LM. Okay, these modes, whatever we have dealt, they all correspond to meridional rays. We know that basically there are two different types of rays. One is meridional, the other one is a skew rays. We have studied both briefly. Meridional rays which travel, total internal reflection hota hai inside the waveguide, it propagates. Okay, with TIR, long series of TIRs will occur as the wave propagates. But however, in case of skew rays, they travel in the helical structure, helical manner. So we have studied about this. So whatever I'm talking, the modes about this TELM, TEM, TMLM, they're all, these modes correspond to meridional rays. Okay. Now coming to the skew rays. When I talk about the skew rays, what will happen? We will come across the hybrid modes. So hybrid, it's a combination, right? So in hybrid mode, the condition is this Ez and Hz, which were 0 in planar waveguide, here they are non-zero. In case of hybrid mode, these two fields along the z direction, they are not zero. Okay, so they also to be considered within the cylindrical waveguide. So but in case of planar waveguide, we didn't consider them, they were equal to 0, so only one dimension was sufficient. But here two dimensions are required because they are non-zero. So these modes, they result from the skew rays. So remember, in case of planar waveguides, when we came across the meridional rays, the modes exist due to the meridional rays, and that too single dimension. But in case of cylindrical waveguide, the modes, they exist because of the skew rays, and they are hybrid modes. And we use two integers L and M to represent the modes. So propagation of the fiber, and we name them, those modes. Here they were TE and TM. Okay, but here they are HE and EH. Okay, magnetic and electric, electric and magnetic. So depending upon the modes, values L and M integers, the modes are defined depending upon the components of H or E, which are making larger contribution to the field. Okay, whichever is dominant, that will be the with that component is being used. But however, as I said, Maxwell's equation analysis for cylindrical waveguide is very complicated. But practically speaking, when we take this cylindrical fiber for the use of communication in optical fibers, when we make use of them for communication, the analysis is a bit simplified. How? By making some approximations. What is that approximation is? This del value is very, very less than 1. So what is this del? We have already studied when we dealt with the ray theory of transmission. We have studied about the skew rays, then refractive index. Then we have studied about this term NA, numerical aperture. In numerical aperture, this del stands for relative refractive index difference. So this is kept very, very small. Because of this, the analysis will become much easier. Okay. So hence, the appropriate solutions for the full set of this HE and EH which are actually the modes in case of skew rays, that to cylindrical waveguides. So even TE and TM, these four modes, okay, meridional rays 2, skew rays 2, we can represent these by means of the other two components. They are called linearly polarized components, in short LP. Okay, no need to go in depth of that, what is this LP and what is the table. However, just remember, instead of going for Maxwell solution, which is very bit complicated, by taking some approximations, delta very less than 1, it is possible that the approximate solution for these four modes, 2 for meridional, 2 for skew rays, we can represent them in the form of two linearly polarized components. Okay, now coming to the basic mode theory, this is very important for you. This you have already seen this structure. I am drawing this one after the other, which you have already seen in case of planar waveguide. You can see this is your optical fiber. I'm just telling you about the order and the mode. This is your core material center. Okay, what do you mean by TE0? 0 indicates 0 is your integer m value is 0. It means the field is totally concentrated at the center and you don't have any zero crossings here. You can see the field is maximum, totally it is into the core, center of the core, and there are no zero crossings. The field is not crossing this line anywhere. So m is a 0. And if you see, slight part is tapering, decaying in the cladding material as well. The shaded part is the field which is in the cladding material. But however, majorly it is at the center, core only. This is TE0. Okay, the order is 0. So TE0 mode, we say. So what modes are actually? Modes are, they are denoted with the help of order. So what are modes? Modes are the field distribution, the different field distributions along the optical fiber core. They are called the modes. So, and how we define modes? We define modes, we indicate modes in the form by making use of order. So how will you define order? Order is what? Number of times the field has crossed this axis. Okay, zero crossings, what we say. So that indicates your order. Here order is 0. Okay, so mode is TE0 mode, order is 0. Now about TE1, you can see the field distribution, moreover it is here at the center, but there is one time the field is having a zero crossing. So this is TE1 mode. Similarly for TE2 mode, what is happening? At the center, field is located, concentrated and tapering towards the cladding. Of course, the shaded area, see, you can see it. Along with this, you can observe TE2. So there will be 2 zero crossings. Okay. So this horizontal line is being crossed by the field 2 times. So likewise, it will continue 3, 4, 5 and so on. So orders are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So by using orders, we indicate the modes. So what is the order of the mode? Order is number of field zeros across the guide, across the waveguide. Okay. And important thing to remember, field is, it is partially going into the cladding as well. Field is partially going into the cladding as well. I have shown you here the shaded part. Totally the field is not at the center. It is not concentrated totally at the center of the core. However, some is distributed in the cladding as well. And the field, it harmonically varies across the guide, right? You know, there are harmonics here. The variation is happening in this manner. So likewise, so next time you will get more harmonics, right? So the frequency variations occur. And for lower modes, that is a TE0, TE1, TE2, for lower modes, what is happening? Field, अगर आप देखेंगे figure में, so center में ज़्यादा focused है. Okay, so fields, they are tightly concentrated at the center and very lightly in the cladding. This is, I'm talking for these figures. Okay, very slight shading you can observe, even though I have drawn it bit bigger, it is much smaller. So for lower modes, this is the case. But when it comes to the higher modes, E5, 6, 7, and 8, and so on, the fields, what will happen here is, fields are, they are lightly penetrated inside the uh, cladding. Not, it is not lightly, it is tightly penetrated. So the shaded part, as the modes increase, these shaded area keeps on increasing. Okay, and field जो core में concentrated है उसका quantity आपको कम मिलेगा as the modes increase. Okay, cladding modes, okay, they will be suppressed by a lossy coating which covers the fiber. That's why optical fiber, अगर आप देखेंगे practically, uh, when you, the structure, no doubt it is something like this, centrally core, this is cladding. It is simply not available like this in the market. There will be a coating also. Okay, that coating, why it is there? Because whatever the cladding modes, that is higher modes are there, they are actually unwanted things. So because we want the power at the core center, not the cladding. Because of that, so we need to suppress these modes which are into the cladding. So they are suppressed by this coating. Okay, now there is one more term. We have seen about higher modes and lower modes. There are one more section of the modes, they are called leaky modes. In leaky modes, the field is partially confined to the fiber. Okay, you will get about this in depth when we go for the classification. For the mode to remain guided, this is important. Here we are getting some equations. These equations are helpful to you. So either it may be lower or higher. When it comes to lower modes, we want major field to be at the center of the core. Okay, so in order for this to happen, mode to be remain guided, the field should be at the center. The propagation condition, there is a condition for the propagation to take place. That condition is this beta value, which is a propagation factor. You know about this already. We have studied about this propagation beta. Beta, we had considered n1 into k. Okay, whenever it comes from air to the core material, the value of the propagation constant is increased by this, and the lambda will be decreased by lambda by n1. We have seen this. Okay, what changes occur. So beta, this value should be within this range, between n1 to n2, n1 into k to n2 into k. This is the condition. If this condition is satisfied, then only most of the power will be concentrated at the core material. Okay, the field will be in the core material. This is the condition for proper propagation. Okay, propagation condition for, in order for the modes to remain guided, to remain the field distribution to remain in the center core. This is the condition. And you come across one new term, we call it V number. Okay, V number indicates normalized frequency, normalized frequency of an optical fiber. It is very important as we go for the classification, step index and graded index optical fibers. This will decide, this V number, why it is important is, based on this we will decide, this V number will decide how many number of modes each optical fiber will have. So it is the deciding factor of about how many number of modes are there in an optical fiber. So that's why it plays a very important role. It is very significant. And the equation for V number is given as V equals to V equals to 2 pi a by lambda square root of n1 square minus n2 square. This is the formula for V. So if you know the refractive index of the material and lambda wavelength, you will be knowing. A is the radius of the A is the radius of the core material. Okay, we are not into the cladding. Core is important for us. So 2 pi small a by lambda root of n1 square minus n2 square, and we know that root of n1 square minus n2 square is nothing but numerical aperture. So I have substituted that 2 pi a by lambda into numerical aperture. You can even write this in terms of relative refractive index difference also, because NA is related to delta by this equation. n1 root 2 delta is equal to NA. So V number will give you, it is a deciding factor on how many number of modes are there in an optical fiber. Now, the one more thing, total number of modes that are supported by an optical fiber, that is capital M, because when now further classification, if we see about the optical fibers, we come across single mode and multi-mode optical fibers. Single mode means it will support only one mode. Multi-mode, so number of modes will be supported. So this capital M is for multi-mode. So when we go for classification, so this equation is helpful. Total number of modes supported by an optical fiber, that is capital M, is given by M is equal to V square by 2. V is your V number, that is normalized frequency. M is equal to V square by 2. So just half of the main equation. This is about what the V number, normalized frequency, and number of modes supported by an optical fiber capital M. And this is one more equation which may be helpful to you in problems, but you can make a note of it. As we have seen in this figure, whenever the modes increase, field is, moreover distribution is at the center. However, some portion will be in the cladding also, and as the modes increase, the order increases 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this proportion will keep on increasing. So cladding में जितना power जा रहा है, which is a lossy, that amount will increase. So we need to check on with what is the amount of power. So that fractional power, the fractional power flow in both core and cladding, it is very important for us. So whatever amount of fractional amount of power which is residing in the cladding, how we can get it is power in the cladding divided by the total power, optical power P, is equal to 4 by 3 root capital M. Capital M is your total number of modes supported by an optical fiber. So these are some mathematical formulae list which I have given you in this concept of cylindrical fiber. Okay, in that modes, remember we have got two different rays, meridional and skew rays. In meridional rays, TE and TM. However, in skew rays, hybrid modes are there. And for our analysis, when we practically use the optical fiber, analysis is much simplified by making some approximations, and we can show these modes, TE, TM and hybrid modes, by means of these LP, that is two linearly polarized components, LP. Okay. Hope you understood about this. This is a theoretical concept. Okay, some you should be knowing what is this mode, why you are using it. Okay, and we have even compared this with the planar waveguide and the circular waveguide. This is about the cylindrical fiber. Let us go to the main concept, that is classification of optical fibers. Under the heading step index fiber, in your syllabus if you see, directly step index fiber is given, but you should know from where this has come. So basically there are two types of fibers, and this classification, what we are doing now, it is based upon the variations in the composition of core material. You know how optical fiber is being made. You know, some typical materials are used. Even that is also there for your study at the last topic, is the same materials, optical materials. So depending upon the composition of how this core material is made, if you vary that, depending on that, these two this classification is done, that is step index and graded index. This is one classification. Now in turn, further, depending upon how many modes these optical fibers will support. Depending on that, they are again classified as single mode and multi mode. So single mode step index means what? So core material, it is having certain specific composition for a step index, and it will allow only one mode to pass through. However, what is the meaning of step index multi mode? There is a step index, there is an optical fiber which is made of some composition of core material is there, and it will allow many modes, many field distributions will be there inside the core. That is multi-mode. Similarly, for graded index, you will be having two different types, single mode and multi-mode. Single mode graded index is not possible. Fine. So totally you will be studying about single mode step index, multi-mode step index, multi-mode graded index. Okay. So let us first see what is this step index. So this is your title in your textbook. Directly this title is given to you, step index fiber. Okay. So what do you mean by step index fiber? Till now, from the start of this module, we have considered we have a cladding and a core. Core is surrounded by the cladding. This is your core material. This is your cladding, and a core is having the refractive index N1. Cladding is having the refractive index N2. So this is how we have taken. Even this figure is being taken in every of the derivations till now. So this typical optical fiber, what we are considering, this itself is a step index fiber. Okay. There is one condition here. Okay. Can anybody tell me what is the condition for N1 and N2? Hope you remember about this. What is the condition when we take this into account, this particular figure of optical fiber? What is the condition for refractive indices N1 and N2? Very quickly. N1 should be greater. Very good. So the core material, okay, the refractive index of core should be greater than the refractive index of cladding. This is the very important condition we have throughout we have considered. Otherwise, what all we the ray theory and all, what all we have considered, we won't be considering all those things. We won't be studying also. So this is the condition, refractive index of N1 should be greater than the refractive index of N2. An optical fiber consisting of a core of refractive index N1 and a cladding whose refractive index is slightly lower than the N1, that is N2. N2 is the refractive index of cladding. We call this as a step index fiber. The name is given as a step index because of some reason. That reason I'll show you here. Okay, reason is written here, but you won't understand it. This is because the refractive index profile of this fiber, it is making a step change at the core cladding interface. So statement is written here. This statement you won't understand directly. I'll show you. Before that, one more important thing. The refractive index of core. This is very important for step index because this parameter will make this difference between step index and graded index. What is that important thing is, ये जो भी refractive index होता है core material का center में, okay, this is constant throughout in case of step index. ये center वाला जो refractive index है, it is constant throughout from the center to the of the core to the core cladding interface. So throughout this core material, जो भी आप N1 consider करेंगे refractive index, वो same रहेगा. But that is not the case with the graded index. In case of graded index, multiple core layers will come wherein the refractive indices will differ. But here, throughout the core, wherever you can take the point, N1 is same. Refractive index of the core is same. This is for step index. Now coming to these figures, here you will understand why the naming is done as step index. Figures, two figures are there. The first figure is for multi-mode. You can observe you have one optical fiber here. From the center, many rays are coming here. You can see. So these ray indicates what? Many modes are being propagated inside the core. So core is only this much. So if you see, let me take one by one here very quickly. If you see, this is your first total internal reflection. One mode is being propagated. Then this is your one more mode being propagated. Like this, it will continue. Then going for the third, this is one more which is being propagated. So in this way, this optical fiber allows many number of modes to propagate inside the fiber. That's why it is called multi-mode. Now coming to this structure here at the side, this is your center of the core. This is your radius of the core. And what is the small r? Small r is the radial distance, because when we go to cylindrical coordinate system, we'll get what? R, phi and z. So radial distance coverage is given by this r. So r is the radial distance from the center axis of the core. So capital A is the radius of the core. Now if you observe, just flip this, okay? This you try to understand like this. This is your r, this is your ri. Okay, ri indicates refractive index profile. N indicates refractive index profile, which is a function of radial distance r. So what is happening here? This is your core material. Okay, this is your core material. You have a say N2 is your refractive index of the core. So this is constant throughout this core material. Okay, this is your complete core material. This is constant N2. After this, suddenly there is an increase, because this is what? N1, whose value is more than N2. Okay, there is an increase in the refractive index. This is increased like this. Okay, lower value, then higher value. So there is a slight increase, and this is your core center. This complete part indicates the core, where the refractive index is N1, which is same throughout the core. And after that, suddenly there is a drop in the refractive index, because here comes the cladding whose refractive index is N2, which is slightly less than N1. So there is a drop. So this is shown like this. So if you see, when at the interfaces these 2 points, here there is a change from N1 to N2 and N2 to N1. This change is in the form of a step. Okay, unit step you have studied, the signal. So the structure is in the form of a step. That's why it is called step index fiber. Hope you understood why it is called step index, because the refractive index, here I have given the reason. This is because the refractive index profile of this fiber, it is making a step change at the core cladding interface. I hope you understood now. Here at these interfaces, there is a step-like structure. Okay, and the second figure is single mode step index fiber. You can observe there is one single ray which is being propagated, only allowing one mode. Okay, this is your second refractive index profile. This is also a step-like structure. There is a slight difference in both the figures. You can try identifying what is the difference between two figures. Okay, try to identify the difference between the two figures. We'll continue in the next section.